Hello everyone, Tutu Mora here with the Y, bringing you tools to feel well in your body, mind, and spirit. Today, we are going to be just starting the week off right with a stretching sequence, so you're not going to need any props. Go ahead and join us down on the mat, and we're going to start on all fours. So hands and knees. Finding your knees right under your hips and your wrists right under your shoulders, and just take a deep breath. As you exhale, let's tuck the tail between the legs, rounding the spine up into a round back cat pose. And then let's take a pelvic extension, tipping that tailbone up towards the ceiling, letting that trickle up your spine into an arched back cow pose. Let your heart and your eyes just look in front of you here. And then again, let's start with the pelvis. Pelvic curl leads you into that round back. And pelvic extension leads you into that arched back. Let's take that a couple more times, just moving at your own pace, checking in with your spine along the way. Where does it feel like it's moving freely? Where does it feel like it's a little stuck? And so just making some observations about how your body is feeling today. And let's take this one more time. Little pelvic curl into our round back. Pelvic extension into our arched back. And then let's pause at a neutral spine here. Let your feet relax long, and let's tuck that tail just a little bit, sitting it back into your heels. Arms reach forward, and just take a deep breath. This might feel a little creaky if this is the first time you're moving today, so just easing into it. If it doesn't feel right to sit all the way back into your heels, you can start here. You can start with your arms a little further in, but ease your way into this stretch. Or just waking up the body. Or if you've been moving around all day and this feels really good, really stretch out into all the space that feels possible for your body in this moment. Let's come all the way up, and we're going to take that one more time, finding a neutral spine here. And then let's start to take that little tail curl. And sitting back into the heels, reaching the arms forward. We're going to bring one hand a little further to its edge of the mat, other hand on top of that, breathing into that stretched out side of your body here. And then taking that to the other side. Noticing how the sides of your body might feel a little different today. Let's take that one more time here to each side. And then coming back up to all fours. We're going to bend and sit on one elbow and forearm here. With your other arm, you're just going to thread that right through. And just feeling like you can rotate through your heart space. Bringing yourself back, stretching that arm all the way out long, reaching for the edge of your mat or beyond. And then let's take that again, threading your arm through. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, find even a little bit more rotation. And then bringing yourself back, stretch that arm out long. And then let's switch sides here. We're resting on your forearm on this side, threading that arm through. Taking it back, extending your arm long. And again, threading that arm through. And extending it out long. Back to all fours here, and let's come up onto your knees. So you'll see the top part of me is out of the frame. That's okay. Just allow your trunk to be facing in front of you. And let's find a square pelvis, which means that both of my hips are facing front. And we're going to bring one foot to the mat. So we're in a sort of semi-lunge position here, but our hips are still squarely facing that area in front of us. And we're just gonna take this forward, easing into the stretch that feels supportive for this space, and then taking it back. Let's take that forward and back. Now, if you need to extend that stable foot a little bit further away, definitely take that for yourself, but just easing yourself into the movement that feels good. And you'll find that this opens up pretty nicely usually. Now, as we take this forward, when we come back, you're gonna keep that foot planted on the mat and just hinging forward over your straight leg. You're gonna feel a stretch through the back of the leg here. If you'd like to deepen that stretch, you can flex your foot. Otherwise, you can just keep your foot pointed, flat and relaxed on the mat. As you come back up, let's move into that lunge. And taking it back, finding that hinge over your leg. One more time. And then we'll switch sides here. The sides of the body might be feeling different today. So as you find your square pelvis, both hips just looking right in front of you, lunging forward, and just make an assessment about how each side of your body might be feeling today. And just meeting this side where it's at. It doesn't need to be exactly the same as the other side. And just kind of easing that forward, feeling into the range that feels comfortable for this side. And when we take this back, let's move into our hinge. So just hinging with a flat back. So we don't want to simply round the spine over your leg, but just hinging, sitting back into your hips as you bring your spine over that leg. And we'll take that a couple times here. I always find the more challenging part is actually just hinging with a flat spine over that extended leg. Last time, just finding that hinge, bringing yourself back, and let's sit to the side here. Now, you're invited to sit in a Z sit, just as a bit of an extra hip opener. So you'll see that one of my legs is crisscross, other shin is pointed towards that direction we were just facing with our hips. So if this does not feel good for you today, you may absolutely sit just with cross-legged. You can sit with your feet to the floor in a chair. Find the version that feels good for you today. I'll start here. And let's bring one hand out to the side, taking a little side over, breathing out that stretched out side of your body, and taking it in the other direction. Now, as we take this for the last time over to this side, let's bring our hand to the back. As we take this up and over, find a little rotation, bringing that arm forward. Heart is going to spiral down as if it wants to look at the mat. And then bring yourself back. Now let's take this to the other direction. So other direction with your hips. Now, if it doesn't feel good, and you can kind of assess how it feels as you turn your legs to the other side, it will likely feel a little different. Check in with your hips. Again, if this doesn't feel good, find your cross-legged position. And so on this side, I'll go through how it'll look just with your crossed legs. So let's start the way we started on the other side, taking this from side to side. Making sure that as you find this side bend, your head is in line with the spine, your chin is not down towards your chest, and it's not jutting forward either. And as we take this over, let's again find that little rotation as if your heart is spiraling down to look at the mat. And if your legs are crossed, you can take this same rotation to the other side. Now let's come onto our stomach. Make a little pillow out of your hands for your head. And we're just going to bend one knee, start to lift that thigh up off the mat and take that leg up and over. A little stretch for the hips again. Let's take this alternating sides. So bringing that leg in, lifting up, sending it up and over. 2 more times here to each side. And the last time to each side. Now when you return back to center, you can bring your hands to the sides, and we're going to just be looking down at the mat. Your head is in line with the spine, your forehead is just hovering over the mat. And to start, be aware of your heart. We're going to start to scoop the heart up, as if your heart wants to look in front of you. Now this is very different from just moving your head up and down. Let your head be just in line with the spine and along for the ride as your heart scoops up and back down. Really letting that middle portion of your spine be what gets to move, so that thoracic spine. Now after you've done a couple of these, if you want to get a little deeper into that, that's totally welcome. You can start with that same movement, scooping the heart up to look in front of you. Use your hands to help you as you lift even further. Collarbones are wide, and start to melt yourself back down. Taking that a couple times, just being with the range that feels good for you today. Last one here. Now when you come back down, pick yourself up with your hands and let's just sit that right back into the child's pose that we began in. Lengthening those arms out long, letting your tailbone drop as if it's going to drop right between your heels. And then coming all the way onto your back. Now while you're here, let's just bring one ankle over the opposite knee. You can either rock this back and forth. This feels like a sufficient stretch for you. Otherwise, you can bring your lower body in towards you and start to gently rock this. But listen to your body, feel into the stretch that feels supportive for you today. Rest that leg back down. Let's switch sides. Find the option that feels good for this side, which may feel different from the other. So just again, letting this be an invitation to meet your body where it is today. Now resting your feet back down, let's let that left leg lengthen all the way out. Right leg can be up in a shelf, so knee over the hip, but you get to hold onto the back of your thigh. And we're going to straighten and bend that leg. And just find whatever degree of straight feels good for you today. But let's hold that straight leg this time around and just point and flex your foot. Heel gets to reach up towards the sky and then slide down the back of the ankle. Just taking that a couple times, noticing how that feels down the back of your leg. You can also circle your foot around your ankle. And again, just noticing that stretch. Go ahead and bend the knee. Slide that leg out to a straight leg and we'll take that to the other side. So find your shelf, knee over the hip, and we'll straighten and bend. And just again, feeling into what feels good on this side. What degree of straight feels supportive today? And we'll hold the next one. Pointing and flexing the foot. And circling that foot around the ankle, reversing directions. Resting back down. Let's bring both legs bent. Feet are resting down on the mat. And we're going to finish with a couple bridges, so really letting the whole spine have a chance to move. Let's begin with a pelvic curl, tucking the tail between the legs, holding that curl as we just articulate up the spine. Taking it to the height that feels good for today, and from the heart, just melting your way all the way back down. And let's take this a few times. Be with your spine, let it move and articulate to the extent that feels possible today. And this is the type of bridge where we're really looking for that articulation of the spine. We want the whole spine to feel like it's fluid, like a wave. So it's going to feel different from a type of bridge that asks you just to lift your hips. Nothing's wrong with that type of bridge. This is just a different movement. Let's take this one more time, articulating up in your curl, melting your way all the way back down. Now let's bring your feet and knees together. We're going to sway your pelvis and knees towards the right as your left arm comes up and overhead. Just take a deep breath out that side of your body, and we'll take that to the other side. One more set here. Separating the feet, bring your hands to the backs of your thighs. You can tuck your chin in and just start to curl up nice and slow until you're sitting all the way back up. You can cross your legs and bring your feet to the floor. All right, so I hope you feel a little looser, a little more energized, and maybe even just more present with your body. And I'll see you here next time on the Wise Recharge with Us from Home series. Take care.